Another tip on those of you providing services or materials to construction projects and you're contributing to the improvement of a piece of real property. You are in the construction world, you fall within the realm of people who have mechanics lien rights. The theory there is very simple. You have contributed to the improvement of that piece of real property, and the owner should not retain the benefit of that improvement unless they pay for it. And if they do not, then you have the opportunity to encumber that piece of property to whatever extent you have improved that piece of property. Now, within this process, we want to make sure that we understand, the first thing we need to understand is, in construction world, we need to identify those folks in the ladder of supply and know our position in the ladder of supply. Am I selling to the owner? Am I a subcontractor to a general contractor? Am I a material supplier to a subcontractor? All of those things affect A, whether I have lien rights or not, and B, whether I may have to serve a preliminary notice or notice of furnishing or something along those lines on parties above me in that ladder of supply. So I want to make sure I'm capturing the information, the project information of any of those folks, those parties above me, and the ladder of supply, particularly those ones who are going to be handling my money. So if I'm a material supplier, I want to be capturing who is my customer, who is my customer's customer, which would be the general contractor, who is the owner, perhaps the architect. We want to capture all of those, the project address, who owns that piece of property, an architect. Architects are very good resources to have. They process the applications for payment, so they know how much is paid and how much is unpaid. And they also typically, they get copies of the bonds. So if we're having difficulty getting a copy of the bond from the owner, the architect typically is very bipartisan and willing to provide one. So we want to capture this information, and we want to capture it mainly for two different reasons. First, if we're protecting our lien rights, we want to make sure that we are protecting our lien rights. And that means we may have to serve notices on various parties above us in the ladder of supply. The other reason we want to capture those parties is because if there's a collection situation, a payment situation, maybe I'm working for the subcontractor and they tell me they haven't been paid by the general contractor yet. Well, I would certainly like to confirm that and verify that with the general contractor. So I need to know who they are to call them to say, hey, here's the story I'm hearing. Is that actually the case? So that project information, you want to make sure. Sometimes you'll hear your customers say, there isn't a GC on the project. Well, a prime or general contractor is typically described as the party who contracts with the owner and is responsible for day-to-day oversight of a construction project. The key is if my debtor is selling directly to the owner, their contract is a prime contract, and that's the party that you are dealing with.